Welcome, my name is Analia Pisani, and today in this 30-minute webinar I will be taking you through the mysteries of formatting in Microsoft Word. What I'll take you through is a symbol for show hide. This is a little backwards P that reveals all of the non-printable characters like spaces, tabs, and every time that you hit enter. Styles is often a bit confusing for some people, so I'll take you through what is a style, the styles that come with the system, and how to modify the styles, but more importantly, how to tell the difference if this piece of text has a style applied to it, or has someone just gone in and made it bold, italics, and 14-point size, for example. So we'll clarify some of those. Often when we work with tables, because you don't have to have the borders displayed, it can be difficult to tell, is this, am I actually working in a table, and when am I going into the next field down within the table? Also, sometimes we start a document fresh, go ahead and start typing the table, and we forget to put a little return just above before we start so that we can put an explanation about the table. So I'm going to show you how to get around that one. Tabs, to tab or not to tab. Avoid tabbing. Avoid using left align, center tab, right align tab. The only tab you really would want to be using is the decimal tab marker. So instead of using tabs, use a table instead. So I'll show you some of the common things that people don't quite understand about what works with the tabs, and also the paragraph marker. Sometimes we see people moving the paragraph marker thinking in their mind that, right, I'm adjusting the margin of the whole document, and not working out like, well, why is this happening? So we'll clarify that. Now, most people can put in bullets and put in numbering, they're all fine with that. But when it comes to the multi-level numbering, this is the one where you have a 1, 1.1, 1.1.1. Sometimes people just don't know how to get to that second level or that third level, or even come back. So we'll clarify those. The Format Painter. The Format Painter is a tool that says, okay, I've got a piece of text, make it red, make it 14 points, and instead of you memorizing all of that, you can use the Format Painter to apply that formatting again to other pieces of text. What happens here though is, yes, people have seen the little Format Painter icon, yes, they've used it, but what I often find that they're doing is they're pressing the button, the Format Painter button, again and again and again and again to apply. So I'm going to show you a technique that you only deal with the Format Painter once, and you will be able to apply that formatting again and again and again and again. When inserting pictures, what people tend to struggle with is grabbing a picture and then having it placed exactly where they want, aligned to the left, aligned to the center, aligned to the right, having the text move around it. And also, as the picture or the text moves down, the picture may be moving down with it, but not at the correct area. So I'm going to show you what you need to do there. Section breaks. Often people don't understand the section breaks, and section breaks are needed if you're going to have different headers and footers. If you need to change the page orientation from portrait to landscape, and if you need to adjust the margins. What you'll also notice is that section breaks or sections are used also when you work with columns. Every now and then you might open up a document and you see these little weird marks on the top right hand corner, or really on the top edges, and often you wonder, what is this thing? Now, they're not going to print out, but I'm going to show you how to remove them if somebody has left them on. When you're creating a template, you might use fields. Now, this works in two ways. You might like to see where those fields are located in your document. So that means you would like to see them all in the grey little fields so that you can tell that is a field. Other times you go, no, that's not what I want. Only when I click on it, then I want to see that field come up. So I'm going to show you how to set it to always show field, or how to actually make it turn that piece off. Hyperlinks. Most of us can just type in an email address or a website and it will automatically come up with the hyperlink. But sometimes what we want to do is not have the whole jargon of the hyperlink. We want to replace that text with something nice, neat, and simple, but make sure that the hyperlink is attached to it. Even when we do that, when you hover over the hyperlink, you get a little snippet up the top, which will show you the whole HTTP, www, the whole lot, / / / and the whole big long path. And that can look very, I guess, confusing for the end user. So what I can show you how to do is simplify that little smart tag that comes up there with something like download shortcut instead of the whole path of where that is. So these are the concepts that I have for you. At the end of this session, I will be giving you a copy of this PowerPoint, some reference notes, and a link to the YouTube of what I'm just demoing right now. So first up, just to make sure, what is a style? Now, a style is a consistency in our formatting. So making sure we've got the font, the size, the color the same for all of the headings, all of the subheadings, all of our bullets are styled the same. You can assign a style to bullets as well. There are styles that come with the system from heading 1 to heading 9, but you may not like those styles. That's okay. You can always modify them to what you need, but it's important to use a document that uses styles if you want to create a table of contents. There are lots of benefits to working with styles in your document. Consistency is one. Being able to create a table of contents. Without the styles, people are manually typing in the name of the heading, ... and then the page number, and that's an absolute nightmare. There is an easier way. It's just a couple of buttons, or one button really, and you're done, as long as you've used styles. We have a navigation pane that's really nice to use when you're playing with styles. Now, the reason for that navigation pane, which appears on the left, is that the navigation pane shows you all of the heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 styles, and you can see that little hierarchy system on the left. What you're also able to do with the navigation pane is rearrange the order of the items, which makes it really easy when you're dealing in a 500-page document and you've got to move, 20 pages from one end to the other. You're able to keep your head clear, if you like, because once you create the styles and you're using the navigation pane, you can actually collapse so that you're seeing only all the heading 1 styles on the left-hand side. And we do offer face-to-face training as well as virtual training. We'll talk about that a little bit further down the track. But the training sessions are hands-on and they are step-by-step. And you're able to bring your own examples. I do like it best when people bring their examples to our sessions. That way they're personalised, and when you leave here, you don't have to then go, right, I learned this, now how do I apply it in my own workplace? Because you've brought your examples, you're on your own laptop, you're able to show us your own documentation and examples. We can apply the learning straight away. Okay, so the first one I'll show you is the this proposal document. So when you're looking at a document like this, you can see that there's consistency in formatting, but it's unless you're looking at the top here, you're not going to know what is actually happening there. So these have been created using styles. Now, to know what styles they have used, you can click on the Home tab and in the Styles box area just here, and that's going to expand the panel on the side. So as you click on a piece of text, it will actually tell you what style that is. And you can have lots of styles. Okay, so that bit's normal. There's also bullets and so forth. Now, whilst that's all well and good, I can click on this and check. But what about if I have a 300-page document? I don't want to sit there checking every single one. What often happens is you do a table of contents and you go, hang on a minute, one of the headings isn't appearing in the table of contents. You go to the document, you see it here and you go, yep, it's blue, yep, it's bold, yep, it's 14 points, it's got all the attributes I need, but it's actually not a style. So to reveal the style, if you go to the Options tab and go to the Advanced tab and then roll down to Styles Area Pane Width, so in the display section, and if you make that area about 2 centimeters, you're going to get a ribbon or an area on the left-hand side. Now, you're not going to see it in the print layout view, the view that we're always working in. You will only see that when you're in draft. So when you click on draft, you now see on the left-hand side, I'll just do a Control Home, you can see it says title. You can see subtitle, that's even made as a heading 2, heading 1, and so forth. So it's easier to now scroll through your document and actually see where the styles have been applied. And yes, that is a style. No, that's just somebody who's tried to make it look like the normal formatting. So the show hide symbol, I'll go through that. So the show hide symbol is this little backwards P here. Now, sometimes when you leave a document set up with these show hide symbols, it can look very confusing to someone who's very new and raw to the document. I'll just go back to view and change it to print layout. Okay. So sometimes you'll need to have that turned off so you can sit back and then just have a look at, what does the document really look like. But sometimes we need to see detail, and the detail we need to see, is that a return or just a spacing that's part of the header? See part of this header, they've got a bit of spacing above, and that's part of that style. So sometimes we need to turn on the show hide symbol. We can see, no, there we go. There's a spacing above, there's a bit of spacing below, and that's a return in there. So the show hide symbol will show you non-printable characters. What it'll also show you is spaces. So let me zoom into here. So Control and roll to zoom. You can see that there is one space between each of the words there. Okay. Now, if I was to come in here and type space, space, type, you can clearly see that there are 2 spaces there. If I turn off the show hide symbol, you can't really tell. You've got a bit of a gist or an idea that, hang on, I think that's a space in there or 2 spaces, but you won't necessarily be able to distinguish between 2 and 3 spaces. And sometimes what people like to do is when they're doing their suburb state postcode, they like to have 2 spaces or 3 spaces or 4 spaces between the words. The other thing that the show hide symbol will tell you is if you have hit the tab key once, twice, or 3 times. And what sometimes people will do is press the tab key instead of setting a tab marker. and then hitting tab once so that it goes straight to that point. Now, removing the tab marker, you grab underneath. Don't try and grab on top or over the number. It is a little finicky. So go just below on that grey area, and when you click and hold, if you get to see this dotted line all the way down, that means you have got a hold of that tab marker. You drag the mouse pointer down to the document. You no longer see the dotted lines. The little L shape for the tab marker is grey, meaning I'm about to remove it. If I put it back, you click just on the grey line, not up on the white part of the ruler. And if you want to relocate it, it's a matter of clicking on it and then dragging it to the new location. Okay, so that's with the show hide symbol there, showing you the amount of times that you've hit return, that you can see that there's spacing in those returns. And you can see it says remove a paragraph spacing or add. Okay. When you're working with tables, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to tell that you're actually in a table. So let me roll down a little bit. One little giveaway, I guess, that, yep, I'm in a table is that if you are looking to the right-hand side, you'll see this little marker there, and that little marker is part of the table telling you you're at the end of the paragraph for that field in that piece of the table. Another indicator that you're in a table is that if you physically click inside an area which is in the table design tab will appear on the top right-hand corner. Another thing that will tell you, yep, I'm in a table, it's not just people, I guess, typing and putting in borders. The little box will come up. So when you hover towards the top area of the table, this little box will appear, and if you click on it, it now tells you that just that little piece there is a table. Just that little piece there is a table. So if you have that turned off, you won't see the little marker on the end, but as you hover, you will still see that. And if you click, at least you'll still see table, and you'll know, yep, okay, I'm working in a table, that's what's going on. Now, the other thing about working with tables is sometimes what happens is we get a bit carried away, we don't type in a heading, and we go off and start creating a table. Now, that's all well and good, so you type your table, but now you decide that, hang on, just above the table, I want to put in a comment to say this table is an explanation of da, 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 da. Now, rather than what I think a lot of people might do is enter, 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 then grab the table, grab a hold of it, and then try and drag it and push it down there. Not a problem. Sure, you can get around it that way, but you could also get around it by simply putting your cursor at the front of that piece of text. Just press enter and go ahead. So either way, tabs versus the paragraph marker. So I just did a little bit of a quick demo there of the tab markers, but the paragraph marker. So when you have your document, what some people have done is they're wanting to adjust the margins. Now, when you want to adjust the margins, really you should be going to page layout, margin, and then make your adjustments from here. But what sometimes people are doing is they're selecting the document or selecting several pages or paragraphs of text, and they're grabbing this paragraph marker and dragging it across to adjust the margin, thinking that that's how they adjust the margin. So they'll do Control A, select the whole document, or click and drag, 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 and they're only adjusting it for this part here, not the whole lot. So keep that in mind. If you are adjusting the margins, it should be done from the margins area here and not the paragraph marker. the multi-level formatting. So there we go. Let's say that if I select a piece of text and I make it red and I want to now apply that again and again, what sometimes people will do is click on the Format Painter, but what they're doing is clicking on it once. Now that's only going to allow you to apply it once. And then they go, okay, click it there and then click it again. Like, you know, that's a killer. So what you do instead is, yes, have your cursor on the piece of text that has the formatting that you want, but don't click the Format Painter once, click it twice. Now it sticks to you, so when you hover over text, the little brush will come up and you can apply it again and again over whatever piece you like. And come back to the Format Painter and turn it off. In fact, that instruction, if you look down the very bottom here where it says FYI, it in fact tells you double click the Format Painter so that you can apply this multiple times. Inserting pictures. So when we come into here and we want to insert a picture, you have your cursor where you want to insert your picture. Insert picture, go find it from wherever. Don't know why my pictures aren't coming up, that's lovely. There we go. So when you insert a picture, usually the default setting is to say in line with text. Now, this means that if I want to position my picture here in the center, you tend to think, oh, okay, so I want to do that, and it's not happening, and you end up getting terribly frustrated. So the first thing you do when you get a picture is adjust the wrapping. You can adjust the wrapping to make it tight. That way the text sits tightly around wherever you move it. Or you set the text to sit above or below, but you can still position it in the middle or wherever you like, but the text will move up or down from it. Now, the other thing is the picture belongs to, let's say, this information about Mercury. So the anchor is going to be associated with that first line of text. Now, what this means is that if we come down and move this information down, 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 the picture will move down with it. The thing with that is that sometimes, yes, even though I'm aligning the picture with this paragraph, I actually need it to correspond with the paragraph above or relate to the paragraph above. So if I move this down, it's not going to impact or affect or move that picture. But if I come up here, because my anchor is now associated with this paragraph, and now hit enter, 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 it pushes that picture down. You might also like to set the default. So if you right click and say set as default, then every time that you insert a picture, it will automatically have that wrapping that you like to use all the time. So what I'm going to show you now is how to work with sections. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to work with sections. So what will happen is if I insert here, insert break and a section break next page, unless you have the show hide symbol turned on, you're actually not going to be able to tell what kind of a break you've inserted, whether it's a page break, a section break, next page continuous, or an odd page. The idea of the section breaks is that you can have different headers, different footers, you can have portrait, landscape, and that's what I'm going to show you now, and also different margins. Now, often when people are working with sections, they're not aware what section they're in or how they actually work. So I'm just going to reduce the size so that we can be looking at both parts of the section. So when I click in this area here, along the bottom here, you're going to see it says section 1, and that could be 10, 20 pages worth of that section. When I click here, it's telling me section 2, and if I click here, it's telling me section 3. Now, sometimes people don't even have this little option here that says the section. They may have that feature turned off. So to activate that one, it's a matter of going to the bottom of your pane there, right click, and then you can simply tick the option that says section. So I'll just remove mine. You can see that it only tells you the page number. So if I do that again, I'll be turning that on. And that's the part that people may sometimes get lost in or confused in. So now when I click in the middle here or anywhere on section 2, I'm going to change the page orientation to landscape. So now once you've inserted a section break, you need to have a section break at the beginning and then a section break at the end. And then you can see here that when I click here, it's section 1, section 2, and section 3. The next thing you may have noticed as I've been working along with these is that I have some crop marks. Now, crop marks are these little marks that you see. Let me see if I can get back to it here. Right at the very top edge of the document, you sometimes see these little markers here and you go, what is this thing? How do I get rid of it? So they're just to show you where the edges of the page, where the pages finish, I guess, where the edges are. And if you were doing more of like a flyer kind of thing, you might be wanting to work to those edges. So you might want to have that turned on. But to get rid of it, it's simply going to File, Options, and from the Advanced section here, you'll need to scroll down about halfway or even a little bit more. Here it is. So in Show Document Content, there's a tick where it says show crop marks, and we can say, no, I don't want to show these. So you can untick it, and now the crop marks won't show anymore. I'm going to turn mine back on. There you go. So that's another one of those little annoying things that you might get in a document. The next one is when you're working with fields, we sometimes might create a template, and in that template you'll have all your fields. But usually the way we have them working is that unless you click on that field, that area that you are needing to type into, then it will go grey. Depending on what you're creating, you may actually want that field to always display in grey. So what I've done here is inserted a field here. So I've gone into Insert and selected the date field. But when I inserted the date field, I chose to say Update Automatically, and that's what's giving me that field there. Now, if it's showing up in grey all the time, whether you've clicked on it or not, you may choose, well, no, that's not what I want. Only when I click on it, I want it to show and tell me, yep, that is a field, or vice versa. Now, for this, you'll need to go to File and Options. In the Advanced tab, back where we were just a moment ago, where the crop marks were, there's an option here that says Field Shading, and at the moment I've got it set to Always. So that means when I open up any document really, which has fields in it, they're all going to be already filled in. But we usually want to say when selected, only when, or you may want, when selected, only when I click on it, then show it in grey. So if I click away from it, it just looks like the rest of my document. Only when I click on it, then yes, you'll see and be able to tell that, yep, hang on a minute, that's a field. So that is under File and Options in the Advanced setting. And when you scroll down to show document content, you can choose whether you never want to show it or whether you always or only when it's selected. When we type hyperlinks, most of us can just simply type away, go info at, and then as soon as you've used the at symbol and finished typing, then it knows to make it a hyperlink. If you say www dot and then it'll know that it's also a hyperlink to a website. But sometimes what we have is a page that we want to get to, but it's a little bit long-winded. So for example, to get to something, you may need to go to the website, but then you may need to click several times to drill down to a particular point. So you may need to go through here and then into webinars, let's say, making the hyperlink the website address and then the next extension. Now we don't want to be seeing all of this extension. So when we're in our document, you can insert the hyperlink. So insert link, and then typing the address in here, or copy and paste your address in here. But you may prefer to have a bit of a better description of that information. Like I've written here, Microsoft Office shortcuts available for free download, instead of showing this information. Which takes you to the shortcut key download. Okay. So what we could do is type in your text, MS Office shortcut. You need to select that piece of text. Now you can go to the link icon and say insert link. I actually prefer to do my shortcut key, which is Control K, and that will bring up the same dialog box. You then paste the hyperlink in that position there, so that it shows like this. Let me go back again. So I would select the address link, copy it, come back to here, Control K, paste, enter. So now you have your piece of text that is associated with that link. The only thing with that is when you hover lightly over it just before clicking on it, it comes up with the hyperlink path, but it's quite long-winded and it's showing you the whole path, which can be a little bit more confusing and overwhelming for people seeing that that little tip there. So what you'll notice is when I hover over mine here, instead of having that whole long-winded path, it actually says download shortcut keys. So it's more clearer and less invasive on the eyes, really. So to type that in, yeah, if we right-click, so I went to the webinars one, okay. Yep. Where it says screen tips on the top right-hand corner here, you can actually click on that and then type in your shorter version of what you want to say here, or a bit more descriptive piece of line of text. Too many. There we go. So in the screen tip, so now you've got a clear piece of text, but even when people hover over it, they've also got a clear tip at the top there. Removing a field is another thing I'd like to tell you about, actually. So sometimes we have a field in place, but you actually don't want it to be a field in anymore. If you do Control Shift F9, when you now click away from it, even if I click on it, you can see now the field, it's no longer working as a field. So that means come tomorrow, it's not going to update and change. Thank you for joining me in this session. We also offer face-to-face training in Sydney, Australia. 2 to 6 students, $990 including GST. All our sessions are hands-on. We guide you step by step, and we love it when you bring your own examples so that we can tailor the training session to the group. We also do virtual sessions for public courses. So public course means that any student can attend from any organisation. They book in, it's a one-day course, and we have Word, we have Excel, we have PowerPoint sessions for virtual, and also being hands-on step by step, and they're delivered by me. So I hope you can join me in one of these sessions. If you mention this video, you and quote this code, you can get $100 off a group booking. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video by AZ Solutions. Subscribe for further learning or join one of our virtual training sessions.